Sasha versus Charlotte. BFFs, bitter enemies, or are they respected foes? Is it just that horsewoman love-hate relationship that's weird? I don't know. But you can't deny the fact that they laid the groundwork for the, and I hate to say it, well, I'm not going to say it, women's revolution, the women's wrestling renaissance in WWE with their matches in NXT. The two will probably always be attached at the hip and will likely be mentioned in the same breath as the other for years to come. So why is their feud so lackluster on the main roster? I mean, it's Raw. I mean, I can just answer it that way, but there's too much backstory here and history. How can they even ruin this? They couldn't even ruin Owens and Zayn. How can you ruin this? Well, let's take a look. Cue music? No music? Okay. Well, whatever. Let's get started. As much as I could complain about Sasha and Charlotte feuding for what seems like an eternity, at this moment in time, this really is all Raw has. When you really think about it, while they have talented women on the roster, with the exceptions of Bayley and Nia, both are recent NXT call-ups, by the way, no one on Raw's women's division has really been properly built up for the spot, honestly. In 2015, during this whole women's Divas Revolution bullshit, these were the women that were properly built up for the spot. It was pretty much just the Bellas, Sasha Banks, Charlotte, Paige, and Becky Lynch. Becky and Nikki are on SmackDown. Brie is going to be a mother soon for Daniel Bryan, and Paige is busy getting her throat grabbed by Del Rio. And all you have left is, on the Raw roster, that's really relevant, are Sasha Banks and Charlotte. With the exception of Bayley and Nia, who are great, but they're recent call-ups, and they still have time to really get going. I mean, especially Nia. But now to analyze this feud, because we have to go way back. This feud goes back to 2014. Let's start in NXT, where it all began. It's safe to say their NXT feud went over extremely well. I mean, I had never heard really anybody complaining about their NXT feud, and I thought it was great as well. Starting out with them both being in Summer's stable of the BFFs. And there were two lackeys, and while Charlotte wasn't nearly as good as she would become later, and Sasha wasn't being recognized or pushed much at the time, even though she already had it, they had some chemistry with each other, and it came through on TV, or on the internet, or on the network, whatever you want to prefer. And then the NXT Women's Title Tournament happened. And as much as I hate both are horrible on the mic, and I'm not a fan of either that much, Natty and Charlotte had a great match at TakeOver, which was only the second time the women really set a higher bar for the women in that company that really got the women's division on notice. First one being Paige and Emma at the NXT Arrival. And even then, you can go to their match on NXT TV where Paige became the first champion. And Charlotte, after this, while still being in the BFFs, it was clear that she was her own woman at that point. She was the woman, as she would say. And at that point as well, Sasha was also growing a big head as well. And naturally, Summer Rae is the leader, and she wants to be the center of attention. So dissension among the ranks became apparent, and eventually the group split. And Sasha was left on her own and became envious of her success, which further fueled the fire in her that Summer Rae started that caused her to turn heel and become the boss in the first place. She would berate Charlotte and call her out numerous times, and that would start their feud. Not only was Charlotte protected more in NXT not as far as her victories or booking, which they are definitely protecting her now in the main roster, but the big thing is a lot less talking segments. Even in NXT, Charlotte was never a great talker. As a babyface especially, she would still have kind of she would berate the crowd sometimes as a babyface, which that's a big no-no. But yeah, and just, they protected her a lot. They gave her less talking segments, and they just let her do her thing and wrestle. And she does have the presence of a star when she comes out with her arms out, like her daddy, with the robe. She looks like a star, and she carries herself like a star when she's not talking. And then adding on to that, the constantly good takeover performances, every time they would come out, they would, for the most part, steal the show. TakeOver Revolution, certain episodes of NXT, and then the four ways and all that good stuff. But the second thing that made this feud great, aside from, unlike Raw, a concrete story that had a beginning, middle, and end, that made sense was that Sasha Banks was just really starting to make a name for herself and put everyone in the wrestling business on notice that she was one of the best talents they had. NXT at that point in 2014 were making stars left and right at that point. Enzo and Cass. Neville was at that point their longest reigning NXT champion. Sami Zayn was being built up so well. And of course Charlotte, Sasha, Finn Balor, Hideo Itami, and then later Kevin Owens later that year. And then 2015. And the NXT women's division was catching serious fire at that point. And people who say, Sasha Banks has been getting a lot of flack lately. People who say that she's overrated, that she's not that good and she's not a good babyface. Most of these people probably haven't seen Sasha's heel run in 2014 and 2015 because she's still really good. But the flair is gone. And good choice of words I used there. The flair is gone. Sasha Banks in 2015 was, in my opinion, aside from Nakamura and Styles, obviously, the best wrestler in the world. Her work as a heel was perfect. And the intricacies of her character, her heel character, and her feud with Bayley especially, was just a wrestling masterpiece. She made working at rest hold a goddamn spectator sport, and just her brutal straitjacket holds, the way she would trash talk people, she had it as a heel especially. And I'm not saying she's not good as a babyface, but it's her moveset and her work has become very limited since turning face. She's still good, but it's not nearly as good as when she was a heel, in my opinion. With Sasha Banks' heel run, it made perfect sense. She couldn't get the job done when she debuted in 2015. She couldn't get the job done as a smiley, happy babyface. That kind of what Bayley was, like that smiley, hey, I'm happy to be here kind of babyface. And then Summer Rae, after Sasha losing, she gave her, that mirror scene, she gave her that, shot in the arm to change her entire way she carried herself. And she said, fuck off to the people that doubted her and was going to become the best by any means necessary. And she would become the boss. Well, Bayley, and on the other side you have Bayley. She's a smiley, happy babyface that Sasha once was and tried to be. But it actually worked for her. She got over, she started winning, big matches, but she could never win the big one. And that was their thing in the feud with Sasha and Bayley. That was, how Sasha's promos went. Like, sweetheart, I've been in your shoes before. It's not going to work. You're nothing. Fairy tales don't come true. It's all about Mia. Because, she can't say me. She says Mia. It's Mia. Whatever. Which, if you think about it, sounds like the same things that Summer Rae and probably all of Sasha's doubters growing up told her back in the day. So it's pretty much Sasha. It's like a mother to her daughter, like, don't make the same mistakes I made. It's not going to work. You can't do it. They'll tear you down. And, this is my turn. You're not going to do this. You're not going to do what I couldn't do. And then, she didn't just want to slay Bayley, destroy Bayley. She wanted to destroy the person that she used to want to be and couldn't be. And then Bayley beat her. Bayley beat her. Sasha became envious again, but with a sense of jealousy in her. And, she started doubting herself and doubting, what's going on. And she started wondering if, maybe this does work. Maybe I've been doing it wrong all along. Maybe I can go back to being that, nice person, that nice, happy baby face, and maybe it does work, Maybe you don't have to be a bitch, to get to the top. And then Bayley beat her again at Respect, and Sasha and Bayley basically embraced and became friends ever since, up to that point. Well, in quotes, became friends. They've probably been friends forever. But, now I guess the thing is, from what I'm thinking, Sasha is now finally herself. She's the boss, but she has more swag. She has more kind of confidence in just being herself. As this little girl, when we get to how many times she says that, who wanted to achieve her dream, since 10 years old of being a champion. It was all a dream. And, she achieved them, which, good for you. The problem is, first of all, the writing, and the storyline laziness on Raw has not helped her much at all, really, when it comes to her promos or anything. And secondly, Sasha, while she's still good, she just doesn't do sympathetic babyface nearly as well as the bitchy heel. I'm just going to point that out right now. With Sasha and Charlotte's rivalry, we're supposed to think that these two hate each other, right? And they're bitter rivals and all this stuff. Which is why, they had to, have a Hell in a Cell match to destroy each other and all this stuff. Except, no, they only did it because they wanted to make history. It was to make history. First women's Hell in a Cell. WWE, here's the deal. You don't have to jerk yourselves off to the fact that you have women main eventing. If you book it right, which, no. If you do it right, and it's the right match, at the right time, with the right people, and it goes over well, trust me, we will jerk you off for you. We will do the praising. That's why Lucha Underground with Sexy Star, while I might not be a huge fan of Sexy Star, people are embracing her title run, and, this is the real women's revolution. We're jerking them off, not you guys. You guys aren't supposed to do that. You guys are supposed to do, you're supposed to do it, not say you're going to do it, and then do it badly. But yeah, then you have Sasha praising her left and right, saying she brings out the greatness in her, and that's the disconnect that is really turning off a lot of the fans that I see who want to see heated rivalries, who want to see blood feuds, and I'll bring her up again. One of my favorite things about Becky Lynch is that she takes everything seriously when it comes to winning and losing. Alexa beating Becky crushed her. Afterwards, she was pissed off and she wanted just to be near Alexa Bliss so she can destroy her and rip her head off. It's not the Cena thing where titles come and go. And I respect you. No one cares if you respect them. We care what you're going to do and how much you want to be the champion and how much you want to beat this person and become the best. Becky wanted just to rip her head off after that match. And bring it back to NXT after losing to Sasha and Unstoppable, even with the fact that she had her star-making performance that night, and that she had Full Sail giving her a standing ovation while singing her theme song, she was still crushed and was crying because she failed to achieve what she had aspired to do since she got there. She failed. That's how you do realism. That's how you do storytelling, and that's how you make these title matches and becoming champion seem important. Losing should be something that crushes someone. If you're supposed to hate someone so much, don't talk about all that bullshit about respecting them and that they're great. Talk about how great you are. So, is the case, is Sasha only truly great when she faces Charlotte? Sasha, she brings out the greatness in Sasha. Come on. This is ridiculous. Another problem with this feud is that Charlotte is already caught up in another story with her daddy. Yeah, that segment, I guess a few months ago, where Charlotte berated her dad and made him cry. I didn't watch Raw because I don't watch Raw, and I just to keep tabs on it, but I guess Rick came back, and apparently, I guess they're still fighting, but most people think it's all leading to Flair and Charlotte screwing over Sasha in some way, probably at the pay-per-view and winning. And while it's nice to see WWE try to do multiple storylines, connecting into the other, you can't even do one storyline right. So what makes you think they're not connecting it well? And then you have Dana. I don't know what's going on with the Dana thing, but I guess they're also building up, probably at some point Dana's going to turn on Charlotte. So, you guys have a lot to juggle here. You're not Lucha Underground. You can't juggle all these things. I applaud you for trying to layer out these feuds, but you can't do it. You can barely pull off one basic storyline. You can't even pull off a debut with Emelina. Thanks a lot, you fucking teases. Christ's sakes. That's supposed to get heat on Emma? That gets heat on you. It's not the Eva Marie thing. Eva Marie is untalented and, people don't like her already. So anything she does will get heat and it's not the Emma thing, because Emma is extremely talented, and when you tease the debut and it doesn't happen, that makes you look bad, not Emma. That's channel-changing heat. Okay? And my god, if this was Lucha Underground, they could probably handle these three layers at once during a feud and make it something great. Or even even NXT can probably make it, better, I mean, but they don't handle it well, and which that ruins every layer of this feud, including just Sasha and Charlotte, because everything else is like jumbled up together in this weird concoction of just crap. It's not working, which is ridiculous because, again, this is Charlotte and Sasha Banks. These women, for the most part, for over a year now, have put on good to great matches on NXT and WWE TV, especially Raw, every night. Unless, of course, there's 10,000 refs ruining the flow of the match, like with Hell in a Cell. Fuck that match. Without question, the worst match they've ever had together. I don't think they've ever had a worse match. If anyone could think of one, please tell me. I mean, is it just that we have too high of expectations? No, I don't think so either. Once you set a standard, to me, it's your mission to push the envelope and further raise the bar no matter what. If the first one is good, the first movie is really good, and we're really hyped for the second one. If it's just okay, it's considered a disappointment, and that's just how it is. Especially if something's really great and then you follow it up with something that's just mediocre, we're not going to take it well. It's your job to push the envelope and top your performance, the performance you did before. That's your job as a wrestler. Even if they are scripted to all hell, it shouldn't make your promos always this cringy. And this mostly applies to Charlotte. And now I'll get to this. When she's on, which is very rare, she's good. But when she's not, and that's most of the time, especially in front of a live audience, she cracks under the pressure so hard. Her delivery can be so bad that it completely takes me out of the mood, the setting. It doesn't make me believe anything that she says. And it's just like, this is stupid. Why am I watching this? And Sasha, I don't know if they're telling you to cut the same promo every week, but, I love you. But seriously, this sweetheart shit and this since I was a little girl shit, please stop. We get it. You achieved your dreams. I'm happy for you. You want to make the women's division great again. I'm happy for you. That's great. Can you please bring something new to the table? Can you please tell me why you hate Charlotte and how you want to kick her ass? That's all I ask. Okay? That would be nice. Alright. Now, what I want to get to is things to make this feud better, because this is going to go on for a while, and it is a feud that people are going to remember for a while, because there's a history here, and it's you can't deny it. So, easy first step would be not to have Charlotte cut 20-minute promos on Raw. First of all, please, while she's had some good moments, it's not worth having her on for a Triple H amount of time in 2004. Like Triple H in 2004, where he just cuts 20-minute level promos, and it'd just be bad. Another thing, please stop depending on bragging about women being equal, and they're changing the game, and they're making a revolution, and making that as your story. First of all, that's lazy, and second of all, don't talk it, fucking walk it, do it. Then we'll praise you. Now, if you want to be like, the men's revolution, no, that doesn't happen. They don't have that. They just wrestle and they, have storylines. Bad ones, but storylines. That's why people take them more seriously, because we're supposed to be like, pat them on the back. Good job. You're doing great. Women's revolution. Good job. No. If I was Charlotte and Sasha, I'd be pissed. Like, shut up. Let us do our thing, And then you got them switching victories with Charlotte winning the big pay-per-view matches. That pissed me off first. At first, I was kind of mad about that, and I thought I was stupid. But it kind of does give another layer and another obstacle for the babyface Sasha to overcome, which is good. In a way, I don't know. They just need to have a better match than their Hell in a Cell match. That ruined it so badly. When a major talking point for people when regarding that match is Sasha's super wedgie, showing off that boss booty, that's not good. That's not good. You don't want that. The match just, it didn't live up to expectations. But, guys, I could talk about this all day, but, guys, anyone who has any ideas of how to make this feud better, or what you would do, please leave it in the comment section. I want to create a discussion on this because this is one of the major points of Raw, which is supposed to still be the flagship show, even though I don't watch it. But I still care because it's wrestling, and, you know, like you, my life is pretty much consumed with wrestling for, like, some, you know, for the most part, which is pathetic. But, you know, yeah, I want to create a discussion on this, you know. I mean, this is arguably one of, you know, right now, the most storied rivalry in WWE right now as far as history, and it doesn't seem like it. It just seems like a bunch of random bullshit, and that's the problem. So, guys, please give me your thoughts on this. Cliff Mall here. I'll see you guys later.